Hi, welcome to the One True Divine Feminine and Psychic Investigations Tarot. We're a place of light and love and healing, spreading angelic vibes across the universe and trying to bring peace to the world, even though we might have to go through some difficult things to get there, which can indicate the need to solve crimes and talk about difficult things. But sometimes to find the light, you have to go through the dark first, right? And yes, I am the woman who solved my own crime using astrology and tarot cards, but I owe my most enormous gratitude and thanks to the many private investigators, detectives, police officers, the real ones, good lawyers, good judges, spiritual advisors, light team, the million beautiful hands who have helped me along this journey, who I literally owe my life to. All right, now that being said, so nothing is ever done without a community effort, right? And we're trying to clean up the universe. And so I'm going to start with the interesting cards first, right? Because this is where all the juice is in this case. So I have met, well, not really, but in my mind's eye, Dr. Evil. Actually, I've met more than one Dr. Evil in this case. I have a feeling that there's a variety of divine masculines who have tried very, very hard to deliver evil to my doorstep, right? And I know you guys are getting to the bottom of this, but the level of evil is a little staggering, isn't it now? And of course, this is one reason why we need mental health care checks in our government so that we can avoid some of this problem because psychologists who are very trained in this thing have a keen ability to see this kind of trouble coming before it ever arrives. If we would only just harness their wisdom to keep this kind of trouble at bay so we don't have Dr. Evils in positions of high power. So, that being said, I want you to look into delirium tremens, DT. Delirium tremens. This is a condition you get if you drink too much alcohol or maybe you're a little bit in the head. And so look into this particular person, if you would be so kind, detectives, as well as there's an upside down, I think, quote, good guy who is featured in my book, Betrayed, that was stolen, which if you haven't read, you need to read because I think it has everything to do with where we are. And this particular good guy who's upside down, which means he's really not that great of a guy, possibly after all, who wanted to win at any cost, right? Any cost. You need to see if either one of those or other, divine masculines, Dr. Eva types, gave suitcases of money to Bonnie and or Clyde. I'm sure you have that figured out. Or various other femme fatales who have been implicated and who are now on their way to jail, or possibly some evil Leos who are in the case, and were maybe, given suitcases of money to do certain things like deliver that bitch live or dead, for example, right? Because that was the edict, right? So, but that may have been paid for by delirium tremens or the upside down good guy, right? I think the more you dig, the more you're going to get closer to who the real turncoats are. Benedict Arnold was close, right, in the Revolutionary War. There's a great movie on this on Netflix, by the way, and it was a fascinating, well done history of the Revolutionary War. But sometimes the enemies lurk quite near, and I think you're going to figure out who they actually were. And one of the many lies that was probably told about me was that I had something to do with it, but I think by now I didn't, and I signed for the Mueller probe 3 times. And I also, tried to get particular people impeached. Why? Because I don't think that we should have people in charge of our country who are being hung on a string by foreign powers, saying things like, Pootie, spank me, Pootie, spank me, right? I just don't think we should have that. I'm just saying. So you're going to have to look again for unexplained wealth that people came up with, and then start asking the really hard questions of who delivered the suitcases of money, right? So I think that's going to be very important, because I just have a gut feeling that, delirium tremens or the upside down good guy possibly had something to do with that. So, and one thing you should be aware of is that Gemini energy, the twins, is always about the opposites, the light and the dark, thinking about things this way and then that way. But also, it can particularly mean playing both sides, right? Particularly if that kind of energy falls in the house of secrets, sorrows, and self undoing, right? Playing both sides, but not being able to keep the lies and the stories straight. That's what you should be looking for, that kind of energy. And when you find that, I want you to, and we do need to do this, right? Because this is a huge deal. We need to jail the sex traffickers and those who both set up and paid for the fake reality TV show. And I will testify in court what I saw in the apps in my phone. And I can't look in my husband's phone, but I could see that every app I had at one point all had a connection to Wi-Fi. And then I said that, and then that all changed, but they were there. It was there. There's also a Wi-Fi hotspot near me that I know nothing about, and this could be law enforcement. It could be bad law enforcement monitoring my house because, the locals were in on it here, etc. So anyhow, just a few things to think about. But that Gemini energy can equate to playing both sides. So, all right, here's a message for the fake friend who I know is starting to feel the heat. Oh, and you should, brother. But you got to know you're going to get thrown under the bus. You are. You are going to get thrown under the bus. So if I were you, like everybody else involved in this case, I'd start ratting out what you know before it's too late. Stuff's still happening. Yesterday, I had an interview, and there were definitely job block attempts. I have really good tires on my car, but one of them was flat. Fortunately, I noticed it hours in advance so I could get it fixed. Then I think one of my text messages was altered to give me an incorrect address for where the interview was. But again, I had extra time, so I figured that one out. But then when I went to use my GPS to get there, it went berserk. I mean, literally berserk. All over the place. So somebody who has access to satellites was possibly redirecting me to get me lost so that I would miss my interview. And guess what, though? It didn't happen. And you have in your IC3 form now what you need to do to watch for what's next. So I woke up in the middle of the night last night, and I am sensitive to energy, right? Because I'm an energy healer, and for some reason I'm tapped in that way. But you need to keep your eyes on the Texas numbnuts, because I think that they were added again last night, and or possibly spell work. So just be aware of that. And I think that they not only have done this to me, but possibly to the Queen of Wands, who is divinely guided, because her ears are ringing, and that was one of several symptoms I experienced. Those who, set up the Nazi-style experiment should all be fired. We have got to be better than this in our country. We shouldn't be pulling off this kind of crap here. This was really nothing more than a Nazi experiment, and that is not cool nor legal And the people that set this up need to go down. And again, we're just going to clean house, right? Because we're setting the seeds for the next 248 years. We're either going to get on with this abuse of power and the corruption and the absolute destruction of our country, or we're going to start to deal with this, right? And knowing that we're trying to transform our value system so we have a more beautiful, fair, and decent country. So I know I've been told over and over again, so many lies were told about me. Some I have figured out what they were. Others I may never yet know how I was slandered, right, to hurt me from getting jobs, even though I have a great resume and I have great references, unless they called and poisoned them too. I don't know how far they went. So one of the things that I have garnered is they may have claimed I was racist, which I most certainly am not at all, not even the slightest. So until they cost me my job in Boston by crashing my computer and calling ahead to slander me, I worked on a social justice team, both in Boston National Historic Park and Boston African American National Historic Site. And I'm a very fair minded person. I wouldn't belong to the party I belong to if I wasn't. So that is completely a lie. I also gave money to Warnock. I think I said Warner here, but it's Warnock in Georgia twice, because I really would like to see more fairness in some of these southern states, right? And I've heard some of what some other people said, and it turns my stomach. Um, I gave money to Eric Holder twice for redistricting efforts. I've given money to NAACP. I tried to get Oprah to apply to be our next president, and my father-in-law is African American. Uh, so whatever this was, that was just straight up lie. I also was told that he told people that I harmed pets. Okay, well, I've given money to PETA. I've also given money to Rolling Rock Ranch, which is a place that builds little tiny wheelchairs for injured pets who have lost the use of some of their limbs. Um, they're like little, just baby wheelchairs, so that dogs and cats who lost appendages can still get around and have a happy life. I treat my kitties better than most people treat their children. And one of my cats loved me so much, when it was time to birth her kitties, she came to get me twice because I didn't get the message the first time, so that I would crawl into the closet with her, hold her, and pet her so that she could have her babies while I watched over her, right? Had nothing to do with delirium tremens. Again, I signed the Mueller probe 3 times, and I signed impeachment stuff. And I'm extremely opposed to having a hostile foreign power have anything to do with our democracy, right? So, anyhow, right now, I think if we're honest with each other, and I think we need to admit that our country is broken. And it's broken because we're witnessing all of this insane stuff happening, right? From trying to scramble an innocent woman's brains because you're mad because she stood up for what was right, because we shouldn't be cheating elections. We're just broken, right? And there's no harm in admitting that. The harm is not looking it squarely in the face and actually dealing with it, right? Because we're falling apart. And if you love your country, you don't want to watch it fall apart, right? So I have a great Christmas wish for this year. And yes, I believe in the same creator you do. One of the other lies that I heard was told was that I'm into witchcraft and spell work, and I don't know a damn thing about that, nor do I ever want to. I've had 3 packs of witches on my behind, and let me tell you, it's terrifying beyond all belief. And I don't ever connect to anything but the most high and loving and divine sources of white light, aka God. So I don't know anything about that. So that was another lie. So praying to that beautiful deity that overlooks our country, may our great creator not only bring peace to earth this Christmas, right, but also peace to the US of A. We need this, folks. We have structural problems that are causing us to turn one against each other, to fight each other, to do horrible things, and none of this should be happening, right? We're all Americans, so we need solutions. And the one that I keep coming up with is territories, where we're sociologically aligned, where we can all find a win-win without doing horrible things to women, without paying suitcases of money, without involving Putin, a crazy tyrant from Russia, right? We can get more of what we all want if we have territories, and almost all of the laws then get created within the territories, right? So my recommendation would be the first law that gets passed, that no law gets passed unless 75% of the people want that. This would give us a great opportunity to also break down some of the plutocracy and cartels that we have operating in this country for the benefit of the 1% versus the 99%. We want to get on the 99% because Pluto's going into Aquarius, right? And we can be more sociologically aligned. So things that work for one group, for example, but don't work for another, well, you can have that in your territory because most of your laws will be passed right in the territory. We will have to have some laws passed at the federal level. In my mind's eye, we need natural resources governed at the federal level because we have some people that would log every single stick, graze every single blade of grass, and destroy our watersheds if they were not controlled from above, right? And we can't have Delaware be Billionaire's Island where they never pay anything. So some laws have to come down, not from within the territories, but 99% could come right from within. And if we align ourselves well, you get more of what you want without destroying families and all this, scramble people's brains and suitcases of money and stuff that's making us look like horseshit, right? So some of the divisions we have right now are really bad, and it's pitting us one against the other, sometimes very unnecessarily. For example, we have a lot of really decent guys in the Republican Party who are law enforcement, law and order kind of guys, right? Probably Christian, decent family people, this, that, and the other. To get their law enforcement needs met, they vote a certain way. But by voting that way, they're also voting every single time for things that harm women, whether they like it or not, or know it or not. That's just how it goes. Why? Because we have a two-party system that's pitting us one against the other, and that system is broken, and we're seeing that brokenness right now. In reality, some of these people might not want to do anything to harm women, but to get their main needs met, they have to vote against women every single time, right? So some of the divisions we have are structural problems that are tearing us apart. And as we can see in the last few years, they are literally killing us as a nation. So we've got the red versus blue, spiritual people versus religious people, white versus black, or other cultures, men versus women. All of this stuff is tearing us apart, right? To the point of cataclysmic disaster. When really, what we should all be working on is trying to bring more decency, light, love, peace, and beauty down to the United States of America. But we can't seem to do that because we disagree on how that looks. And to get what we want, we're willing to do horrible things to human beings to get certain needs met, when all we have to do is create territories, and then you get what you want without torturing individuals. So what we really should be fighting for is not division, but decency. Doesn't that sound like a great Christmas wish to you? It sure does to me. God, bring peace on earth and to the United States. Please bring down decency to our country. Okay, I also have a prediction. I do. I have a prediction. And I believe that snapped-on hairdo is either going to be going to jail or leaving town suddenly. That's my prediction. We'll see if it comes true, but I have a feeling it's going to. And P.S., it does not pay to F with a psychic chick. Just saying. And Divine Feminine strikes again. God bless. I hope you all have a wonderful Christmas. Let's not fight. Let's bring peace. Let's come to the table. Let's talk. Let's find a way to make this work for every single person. We need territories. We need structural change. We need to clean up the greed, the corruption, all of these Nazi-like tactics that are happening, and we need to bring decency and the true light of God down to earth, right? We shouldn't be harming families to get what we want in our country. All right. Now, that being said, I'm going to continue with my series on Neptune. And remember, Neptune has so much to do with the God energy. It has to do with a lot of things, but certainly with God energy. And I believe we left off where we need to talk about what it does when it's in the 9th house. So the 9th house has everything to do with expanding our mind and our knowledge base. So this could come through meditation, teachers, yoga masters, or hypnotists. It could also show up with pastors, right? Because it's the house of faith. And it has everything to do with our particular philosophy in life. It also has much to do with world travel and other cultures. So this could indicate a teacher of some sort who will travel the world to gain knowledge from other cultures, as well as teach classes in various retreat centers or churches all around the world. And there will be a strong urge to absorb the knowledge and wisdom of other cultures, right? So just learning from other people. And I've found amazing wisdom in other places around the world. So that's why sometimes I guess people call me an omnist. I only pray to one God, right? I have the same beliefs that you do, the core beliefs, but I do believe that there's wisdom found in many cultures. And I'm open to learning wherever there is wisdom, there is light, right? So you have to be discerning, obviously, but there can be a great deal to be learned from other cultures. Okay, so higher education is also highlighted in the 9th house. So taking courses on comparative religions could be indicated, as could courses of any kind just happening overseas. And so you can see that, people get enlightened in various different ways here. Long journeys over water in quest of some holy grail are also possible with this configuration, as could be the feeling of just being lost at sea. On a high vibe end, this could be a great thing, such as traveling around the world in a boat while getting more in touch with your spirituality and emotional heart center, or again, connecting with people that you want to learn from other cultures as you, dock and go meet people, right? There's good people all over the world. That's one of the best lessons I learned from traveling. And we have more in common in our various belief systems than we have that separates us. That's my belief. Now, the law and justice system also show up in the 9th house. And with Neptune here, you could see lawyers that specialize in drug cartel cases, because Neptune has a lot to do with drugs and poisoning and things like that. It could have to do with hate crimes regarding other religions or cultures, or law dogs that actually work for church organizations. Other law practices that would do well here are those that deal with poisonings or polluting of our waterways and oceans. So environmental lawyers would be well depicted with a Neptune in the ninth house. People that are concerned about the climate change disaster brewing in our oceans right now because of the fact that it's absorbing so many toxins and CO2 that it is literally killing off our sea life. I think I read the other day that the crab industry in Alaska dropped from an $8 billion a year industry to $1 billion a year just recently. And a lot of aquaculture farms are failing because of the toxicity of the ocean waters. So we are getting to a point where we are literally killing the lungs of our planet, literally killing it. So lawyers who are into environmental law with Neptune in the ninth house would be a great career fit for those people. Also, lawyers who work in immigration or somehow help new citizens to integrate into our culture are another possibility. An example that comes to mind are the officials that hold ceremonies, swearing in ceremonies, for example, or people that worked at Ellis Island at one time to greet and sort through incoming immigrants. That would be another perfect example. Now, connecting to others by using our higher minds, wisdom and knowledge, and prayer are also a great possibility because the ninth house has so much to do with our faith in our Creator and how we approach the divine, right? And I have used this myself many times, but prayer circles that stretch across the globe are an absolutely perfect example. And yes, I use those all the time. Again, I connect differently, but I have the same God you do. I don't believe in witchcraft. I certainly have nothing to do with spell work. And in fact, I'm terrified of witches and the negative energy that they seem to put out into the universe. I believe much more in light and love and beauty and angelic vibes in the universe. So, all right, that being said, I hope you all think about the things that I've mentioned. Why? Because we shouldn't be at war with ourselves in this country. Christmas season is upon us. It's time for us to look deeply into our hearts and see if we can't find a God of love and light and beauty and wisdom and bring that energy down to earth so that we can all sit at the table together and consciously craft a new US of A that works for everybody without all of this insanity that we've been going through. Does that sound bad? Light, love, beauty, decency, not harming people, not scrambling people's brains, not slandering people, not taking suitcases of money to deliver that bitch live or dead. Doesn't that sound more godlike to you? Anyhow, I hope you all have a wonderful Christmas. My heart center is filled with love and gratitude to all the many people who have helped on both sides. I hope you can hear the wisdom in my words. We have a structural problem, and we need to solve the structural problem so that we can bring peace down to earth. God bless, and may you all have a wonderful holiday season, however you celebrate.